Abby Corman said, Will, are there certain ways you think it's appropriate to teach about race in the classroom? How do you? Do you see any?
No! Get race out of the classroom. Why?
Well, I don't agree with that. I mean, you're talking about American history. You got to talk about race. It's pretty inevitably tied together.
No, you don't.
Yes, what do you mean?
You say these people enslaved these assholes enslaved these other people.
Yeah, but the history was literally based on race. Americans saying, okay, well, black people have to do X. I mean, you have to talk about that. The answer I would give would be, don't give up on the colorblind project. You say, okay, we used to do this. We used to be racist, and we used to believe these racialized ideas. And now we're saying that race is bullshit and we shouldn't be focused on it, and we should move towards a colorblind society.
Right.
That's the way you teach it.
You basically say, white people used to be racist motherfuckers.
Well, they used to be, Adam. I don't know what to tell you.
No, I'm saying. And then they got Jesus in their hearts. And they started the Underground Railroad.
There you go.
Well, I'm trying here.
There
we
you
need
go.
to have some kind of shared narrative. Like
Right.
the critical race theory narrative is white people used to be assholes and they still are.
Yeah, exactly.
Problems with curriculum you've seen?
Yeah, I talk about race for sure, especially, well, as a history teacher too. But in government, when I talk about politics, the reason I brought up drug, and we don't have to go back into it, but the war on drugs is because I think that's just a very clear example. Sometimes when we say like systemic oppression, that's vague for a lot of people, especially young. It's just like, well, what do I aim at? It's like, well, it's everywhere. It's like water. It's like, well, I don't know how to combat that. So, like, do I just rip down everything? So using the drug war on
Someone
drugs.
say you should.
Yeah, that's.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got them.
We got them. Clip it.
They're all secret commies. I don't get it. Do you
I know.
have to be a commie to be in a critical race theory? I guess maybe you do.
Critical theory is Marxist.
I guess you're right.
Like it's coming from a Marxist perspective, so it
Some would say
makes
you
sense.
do.
Most critical race theorists are Marxist.
Look, Dr. Kate is like, oh, please, no, I spent $250,000 on a doctorate degree. Please do not tear it down just yet.
That would be the interesting thing whenever you get in this conversation with critical race theorists. You say, well, is critical race theory explicitly socialist?
Mm-hmm.
And they'll probably say no. And then you ask them, are they socialist? And then you'll probably get the the not definitive answer.
So nobody asked.
And you're like, well, that's interesting. So you're saying critical race theory isn't explicitly socialist, but everyone that believes it is socialist or at least anti-capitalist. So I don't know. I don't know if you can disassociate these two things.
Scary. That's a scary thing. Ripping down everything is a terrifying concept.
It's also scary to be black in America.
Yeah, but not as scary as losing all institutions, right?
Not for us to say, Will. Not for us to say, Will.
Oh my God,
Well, I mean,
you stupid idiot. Can you fathom?
I'm so
thinking,
triggered right now. I'm just so fucking triggered.
I know. It's scary. She's saying it's not for us to comment on what's scarier, losing all institutions in our country and reverting to Mad Max society or being black in America right now.
Yeah.
Fuck off. Fuck off.
Not to mention the white policing. Oh, Will.
Yes.
You know, we're both white here. Oh, God. So bad.
And as you pointed out, this entire conversation in critical race theory in general is based around non-white people being able to tell white people what their experience of reality is.
Yeah.
There's actually, I forget, there's a whole name for this concocted. I don't remember if it was critical race theory specifically, but there's a whole grievance study theory that's about like, oh, oppressed people can explain the worldview of their oppressors, but not vice versa. Like there's some insane logic about why they can be completely hypocritical about this.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's actually a name for it. There's a term for it. I forget what it's called.
Oh.
Because they're like, because the oppressed people like experience the oppressors, like they have to live in the world of their oppressor, therefore they understand it. But
So,
but the oppressor doesn't live in the world of the oppressed, so they don't understand their world.
So she's basically just adopting the role of the oppressor and saying, I'm oppressing And I as the oppressor in this role, it's not for us to say. That's her thinking. Yeah, that's crazy. Plus, I mean, I've read so many books on where society just completely breaks down. I mean, I read a book about where people were, I think it's Christakis's book, where he talks about the shipwrecks and societies forming just out of shipwrecked people.
Right. Well, this is
why. Well, like cannibalism comes up an awful lot in those books. I'm just.
This is why.
Not for us to say. I don't know. Is the black community dealing with cannibalism a lot? Maybe we could have a discussion about it.
That's a good point. How many black families in America right now have to eat their own children to survive?
Oh man.
I don't think that's a thing that's happening in America right now.
It's so weird too.
But this is why you have to completely renounce and deny this whole, oh, you can't, how dare you talk about our lived experiences? How dare you judge our lived experiences? It's like, we're not talking about your lived experience, but your lived experience does not tell shit about the objective world. Okay. I thought we were all on board with this. If you're citing a study, it's you citing that you agree with the concept that a single person's lived experience doesn't tell you anything about what is objectively true or not.
Yeah, that's the foundation of science. Also, we're hypothesizing about some future dystopian Mad Max type world, which none of us have experienced. We can only postulate. Right. And we can bring other people's experience of those kinds of situations.
Sure. I mean, you were just talking about
Sierra Leone.
Right. Exactly. And the reason you have places like Sierra Leone or any place like that is because you don't have strong liberal institutions that shields people and protects them.
Yeah.
And so they have to rely on local warlords.
Yes. Yeah.
And you know who knows this? You know who knows this more than anyone else in America?
Who?
Lower income black communities.
Oh, hell fucking
Because that's what a gang is. It's a local warlord shielding you from protection that you can't get from the institutions of the country, lady. Yeah. So please, they know it better than fucking anyone else.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty crazy. Anyway, white policing. We've seen it here.
If you say like get rid of policing or something like that, like so there's no policing, like that would be really bad for poorer communities.
So you sound like a person who kind of misunderstands some of the language when people talk about the problems of policing and where we should be allocating our.
No, I agree. But some people, it might be.
He totally dishonestly pivoted. Mm-hmm. He's like, he pivoted to when I say defund the police, I don't mean that. You just said we should tear down all institutions. You don't get to do a 180, like, well, actually, defund the police doesn't mean that, Will. No.
Like, how does even tearing down the institutions? I just like that's not going to end well. That's not going to fucking end well.
This is crazy town. This is crazy town.
Yeah.
Liberal white people have said like just get rid of policing. I got friends up in Portland. It's out there like just get rid of all cops. And again, that's a minority of people. But that idea of just like ripping. I'm all for changing the systems to make it more equality.
We'll just ask them what they mean. Why are you trying to fill in what they mean? Say, what do you mean by dismantling everything? All institutions. What does that mean?
Yeah. But you probably won't get a real answer because there's been so few actual answers.
You're right. You'll just get a diatribe of buzzwords for 5 minutes that are absolutely meaningless.
Well, you see,
follow-ups.
To dismantle all institutions, we got to talk about feudalism. That's where it all started.
Oh my God.
Feudalism. First, there was a feudal lord, and then there was a serf.
Yeah. I'm noticing a pattern here in these communists. I really am.
A bunch of blowhards that go on forever and never actually explain anything. Yeah.
I mean, it's best explained by narcissism. It really is. Because they just enjoy hearing the sounds of their own voice rather than actually like articulating an argument. Articulating an argument is fun. Arguing the argument is fun. It's a lot more fun than just talking about nothing, but
not if you're a narcissist.
I guess that would require some effort on your part. I don't know. It's fucking entertaining for us.
Art Stoken General for $20. Thank you very much, Art Stoken. The best country of Artstokia says it's amusing to see a grown person act like such a child against not even opposing views, but views that slightly deviate. The state of academia disgusts me, considering that college has a starting price of an average house. It's a good point.
Yeah, it's super weird now. College is allowed to get away with this stuff because it's become like a cultural norm. It's one of the cage of norms, I'd say. People believe that the only way that they can get ahead is to go to college now.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's true. I'm not sure. I question that thesis, especially if you're walking away with like some sociology degree in critical race theory. I mean, basically, you're only you got to turn into Vosh. You got to start like pwning conservatives on the internet to make a living.
When do you open up one of these "we teach your company how to not be racist" things?
Yeah. Oh my God, they don't teach anybody anything. Hey, we're a bunch of racists. Let us come. We know no one knows racism like us. We're the professional racists. So we can come in and get rid of your racism because we feel it in our heart.
Yeah, racism is their lived experience. So obviously they're the best to talk about it, Adam.
Yeah. Oh my God. It's so sad. You fought so long and hard, Sitch.
I know.
So close to annihilating racism from the world.
Nope. Gotta bring it back.
I'm down to do that. But I think we need specifics on how to do that. But I'm down for I'm a progressive, believe it or not. Maybe not by everyone's definition.
You're a libertarian, my G.
Huh?
Oh my God.
You're a libertarian.
These guys are like friends on the side or something, but he's totally throwing them under the bus at every turn.
Enlightened Centrist for $5, €5, has a very good point. He says, I'm not Korean, but I think as a non-Korean, I can still speculate that it's better to be a Korean in South Korea than in North Korea.
I would second that. Yeah, I would totally. Yeah, I agree with that wholeheartedly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'd even go as far as saying that's a fact. That's like a fact, Jack.
Mm-hmm.
Tarian.
No. I'm very much for like baby bonds. I'm not even against the idea of reparations. That's not libertarian at all. I can be okay with reparations. Like Sandy Darity's stuff like about baby bonds and like specifically for ADOS and stuff like that. Like I think it's complex. I just like the complexity, I suppose. But no, I'm really not a libertarian. I'm really not. I like
government. In what ways do you believe it is appropriate to teach about race in a classroom?
Yes, I think it's okay to talk about race. Yeah.
In what ways?
It depends on the situation. I don't like the idea of like monoliths, like you said. Like I think we're all really on board with that. White people are this. White people experience this. Black people experience this, because it's just that's not been my experience. And talking to very diverse people, my family's very diverse, stuff like that. People are individuals. So I think that I look at it through a history lens. I talk about like, whatever, like the Tulsa riots or something like that. Like that's a good example of like where race has to come up. Not just for the Booker T. Washington of how that was grown in a very impressive way during Trump, which is an important part of that lesson, but then also how it was destroyed by the bigotry and racism in Tulsa in the early 1900s. So I bring it up for sure. I don't shy away from it.